This week is part 2 of our series, Getting Wealthy and Staying Wealthy. We discussed time last week. This week is all about the role of paranoia in helping keep you safe. So last week we talked about the role in time in building wealth. Again, how do you get yourself enough time in whatever asset you have? Or how do you buy yourself enough time to give up some of that liquidity, that access to the money to get the returns you want to see? This week, we're going to focus to, okay, we've built some wealth. Maybe it's all that you hope to have or need. Maybe it's enough that you've begun to get nervous about how much you have. But what is the path to staying wealthy? As Morgan Housel puts in his book, Psychology of Money, where he talks about the many ways to get wealthy, he then, and I quote, says, there's only one way to stay wealthy, and it's some combination of frugality and paranoia. So let's walk through, okay, what does paranoia look like? How often does it usually manifest? What other issues can it lead us into? The truth is about frugality and paranoia, they certainly play a role in getting wealthy. You got to save some money. You've got to be diversified, have appropriate cash flow, liquidity, think about what could go wrong to buy yourself that time. It's just the magnitude that they play in one's ability to stay wealthy, grow and grow as one's assets grow, as their lifestyle grows. For clients, we believe addressing this starts and almost ends with cash flow. Can we have enough income? It is that bridge that goes between portfolio to plan, that goes between getting wealthy and buying yourself time, to staying wealthy, is do we have a sufficient cash flow to maintain our lifestyle? For us at 10 Capital, this analysis includes a few things. One, truly understanding one's lifestyle, both from a needs basis, as one might define it, as well as from an aspirational lifestyle. It's very easy to get those confused. Our wants can feel like needs at a given point in time, but if we're going through and really building out, what do we do when the seas really get stormy? What is our game plan there? What do we have to have? It's important to be able to draw some distinctions between those needs, those wants, those aspirational wishes. Point 2 of this analysis is really understanding cash flow. What do you have today, but what are you going to have in a worst case scenario? What if you got laid off? What if some of those assets, real estate's a common one we're hearing about today, aren't cash flowing like they used to, or they've dried up in terms of some of their distributions? What are you going to do, whatever those might be? And that leads to point 3 is, if those dried up and there isn't a means to replace them or replace them at the same level they were before, what kind of liquidity bucket, what kind of safe haven do you have that you could draw on to help bridge that gap until those various channels came back online? So on this last point number 3 around safe money, it's an area that again is necessary. We need that paranoia part of our portfolio, but it's an area where if not done right, it can bring its own issues. One of the issues that arises, things that short circuit it beyond again not appropriately matching it to one's portfolio, is the struggle of hanging on to a boring asset, something that's not going to light the world on fire during an epic bull market run in the stock market, and not give it up, right? This is a pull all the time. We talked about it a little bit a few weeks ago in terms of knowing what the role is. If the role is, hey, this is my liquidity money or this is my income generator, it's not necessarily meant to be your expected return driver. And it can play, even if it's not itself posting massive returns, play a role in helping those other aspects of your portfolio have the time they need to post those returns. The second big confusion we have around this safe bucket of money that we see with investors is confusing cash flow or a safe bucket with just cash itself. The first chart, we've showed some version of this quote chart many times before that Matt will pop up over my face from JP Morgan, shows again, held for any significant length of time, cash is one of the worst performing asset classes. It's also usually one of the worst performing asset classes in most years. So it feels good, but again, it's a lot like a frog in boiling water, which leads us to our second slide on inflation, the erosive impact of inflation on your holdings over time. At the end of the day, this is about providing for our families, doing fun stuff. Our ability to do that may not show up in terms of big fluctuations on our cash account, but it's happening all the time in terms of the impact of inflation on our ability to actually go out and do those things that we want to do. Frugality, planning, paranoia certainly don't sound exciting and thrilling, but as Housel brings up in his book, and we hope you take away from this commentary today, they actually play key roles in helping all the exciting things that you hope to see come true in your financial lives. With that, we're here anytime to walk this through with you or those you care about.